Dodge City and surrounding school communities. Hello my friends, my name is Jeff Yalden. I'm a teen mental health, suicide prevention, and crisis intervention expert dude working with school communities all over the country. Whether it's teenagers, teachers and staff, parents and community members. When it comes to teen suicide, teen mental health, I'm the guy, my friends. Your community has reached out to me before and also again today, and that is why I am responding. I hope you allow me to share my words and my thoughts. First and foremost, my friends, I want to send my most sincere prayers and thoughts to all of you. Whether you're family, friends, teachers, staff, administration, coaches, church members, and all trusted adults. My friends, I'm sorry. You've all been dealing with a lot. Teen suicide in our communities, the start of a new school year and wondering what this means, what is going to happen. We're suffering. I understand. I'm sorry. I'm here for you. And so with all this, there's so many questions. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain. And perhaps there's the thought that many are losing hope and scared that another loss. When? I understand. Listen, this is my work. Going on 26 years working in the trenches of the hardest hit communities, stopping suicide contagions, preventing suicides, and bringing hope to communities that have lost all hope. I answer the hardest questions parents and teens are asking. I bring communities together to move forward, and I'm reaching out because several people in your community have reached out to me. My friends, this just isn't my work. It's not my work alone. It's also my passion and my love. My foundation and I work tirelessly helping school communities, teens, teachers, parents. This is what I do. It's what I'm passionate about. And I want you to understand that in what I'm about to say, I want to be sensitive, and I ask you to understand that my intentions are pure. I do not intend to offend or trigger emotions, but I also know speaking on this subject easily makes people feel uncomfortable. I'm sorry, but this needs to be talked about. It needs to be addressed. This need not define us as we go into a new year. And so if you are offended, or if you don't like my words, that is fine. But know that I care deeply, and I care about saving lives and making our communities better, making our schools successful, school spirit, the culture, our relationships between the trusted adults and our students and the schools and our families. This is what I most care deeply about. And you know, it's not easy to reach out like this, being from the outside, but at this point, I think you need an outsider that knows and understands teens and how teens are living and the emotions, the stress and the anxieties that they're feeling. You need an outsider, and nobody has my experience working in the trenches, in school communities, for the hours that I put in. So to all of you, let me start off with, again, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry, my friends. My thoughts, my prayers, and my heart is with you. Okay. My friends, let's talk. Number one, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, but you all need to do the work that I'm about to talk about. The work is simple. To believe it's going to be okay, and to each of us as individuals and families, educators, coaches, churches, our communities, accept responsibility for ourselves and our close circle of family and friends. Three things I talk about all the time to my audiences. You wake up, you get up, you dress up, and you show up. That's half the battle. The other half is how you show up. And that's simple. Your choices, your attitude, and your behavior. Pretty simple, right? Today's teens and our young people, they don't want research. They don't want statistics. And they don't want to hear what it was like when you were growing up. They want truth, today's truth, real truth. They want to know that you understand them. They want to know that you care about them. Our young people want 2 questions answered. 2 questions. And these 2 questions need to be answered by first and foremost their parents and their trusted adults every day. And I'll tell you, the most trusted adult in any teen's life is that same-sex parent. I'll tell you why teens aren't reaching out to their parents. They say their parents are tired and angry. So why would they want to reach out to you? And then they're afraid to ask for help or talk because they think that you don't get it and that you're not validating their feelings and emotions. They're afraid that you're going to be judgmental and tell them how they're supposed to feel, how they're supposed to act. They don't want that. They want you to listen. They want you to be supportive and understanding, non-judgmental, unconditionally. They want to know that how they're feeling, that it's okay. And then they want your support and understanding, but in a non-judgmental, don't even try and fix it kind of way. They don't want you to fix it. That comes later. But in the short and the simple, they want to know if they can trust in you, and so that they can reach out, and unconditionally you're going to support them. And 2, they want to know if you genuinely care about them. Not them tomorrow or in 5 years, but them in the here and the now where they live. They live in the here and the now. That is where we are connecting with them. They think you're going to fix their problems, or at least try. And they don't want them fixed. They want to be validated that what they are thinking and what they are feeling is normal. This growing up and understanding is on their terms. And today's teens, our young people, are growing up today differently than we did as parents. I'll tell you, listen, I don't want to promote myself. Watch my TEDx talk and you'll understand. These suicides is not about bullying and cyberbullying. It's not about this. It's not about that. But I'll tell you this, suicide is rarely the cause of one thing. I mean, one thing can certainly be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but rarely is suicide the cause of one thing. 90% of the time comes down to mental illness, depression. And depression, mental illness, I think it's more broad today than it ever has been. I don't necessarily think you need a diagnosis to be labeled with mental illness. Let's just talk about this, and I think you might agree with me. Coping skills, problem-solving skills, interacting, communicating, social interaction, the expectations, the pressures, a feeling of I'm alone and a feeling of I'm a burden. Then it's a habituation to physiological pain and fearsome experiences, to repeated exposure to painful and provocative events that gives that desire for suicide. And I know right now you're like, what do you say? I know, I get it. I'll make it a little bit more understandable. My friends, teens don't want to die. Again, they're living in the here and the now. And they see solutions to their problems that are so far out there that they can't solve in the now. So the pain of I'm alone and I'm a burden, 2 symptoms of suicide, that carries on day after day, week after week, and they get discouraged with never being happy. This is a form of depression that's called dysthymia. Now, I'm not saying they're suffering from dysthymia, but what I am saying is that today's mental illness, much more broad than just a diagnosis. It's more broad than just a diagnosis. And so what happens with never being happy and getting frustrated with I'm alone and I'm a burden, and if I'm not perfect, I'm nobody, is the desire to want to end their lives. So what we need to do is really need to start talking about coping skills and problem-solving skills. Who are the trusted adults in their lives? My friends, we all have a responsibility in our schools not to avoid the education of the well-being of our students, but the responsibility is to educate and inspire the whole student, their well-being. And today, I think their mental well-being is just as important as reading, writing, and arithmetic. I'm pro-education, but I also understand that today's expectations haven't changed from yesterday's expectations, but today's child has certainly changed in who they are, their maturity, what they're going through, how they're thinking. Listen, we have to change with them. And ultimately, our job is we teach young people first, and the subject area is second. Our young people, our children, they need to know that life isn't in the here and the now. Life isn't all rainbows and unicorns. Life is hard. You're gonna get rejected and made fun of, and not everyone is going to like you. He will break up with you. She will dump you. He will get cut from the team. You probably will fail a test. You most likely won't go to Harvard, and you probably won't make $125,000 a year out of college. Have time with your kids where you tell them your story of challenges and adversity, but tell them how you picked yourself up. Speak with them. Value the time to be connecting and answering their questions, but at the same time, listen to what they're feeling and thinking. They want to know about your struggles. That's truth. And teach them the importance of thinking about what they're thinking. Healthy thoughts, not so healthy thoughts. Let's stop them in the thoughts of thinking about the desire of suicide. That making a forever decision based on 15 or 16 years of your life when you still have 60, 70, 80 years ahead of you, they need to know that tomorrow doesn't equal today's hardship and challenges. Teens need those relationships, and they need those trusted adults that are patient. Give them time and your understanding, your love, your unconditional love and support. And support them and validate what they feel, and that these feelings, they're normal. It's okay. As a matter of fact, I think even thinking about suicide is normal. But when it becomes a problem is when you might start considering harming yourself or harming other people. Then, I'll tell you, we have to give them or teach them the coping skills and the problem-solving skills. I think we also need to give them and teach them and enforce that they're understanding balance and boundaries with their smartphones, with social media, YouTube, the internet. Yeah. The common denominator I hear about with all teens is their relationship with their parents or a trusted adult. Their parents, their teachers, coaches, many of them don't have a trusted adult. Many of them don't know how to reach out and ask for help. And it's not that they don't necessarily know how, but they don't want to because they're afraid of how you're going to react or respond or maybe judge them or tell them they shouldn't be feeling this way. I could talk all day about this, but what I want you to concern yourself with is something that's called the dopamine effect, social media depression, and the effect that this has on our teen mental health today. Again, watch my TEDx video and you'll understand. This is serious, my friends. And teens, I don't want to put them down, but this is scientific. Not that they like that, but it's proven. Teens don't have the maturity today. Scientifically proven that their frontal lobe isn't fully mature to handle the emotions that come with what the smartphones and social media platforms, Snapface, Insta, group texting, YouTube, on and on and on. I don't think we should have cell phones in schools. I said it. And I'll tell you what, I think our administrators, they probably agree with me. But I'll tell you, we have cell phones because parents would complain if we took them away. But I'm going to say this, if your child is spending 4 or 5 hours or more on their smartphones in a 24-hour period, they're more likely, up to 70% more likely to have major depression in their lives. The safe zone is 1 to 2 hours per day. Essentially, I'm saying this, online is harming our mental health. offline social interaction is benefiting, improving our mental health. Now, I'm not saying smartphones are bad, nor am I saying social media and the internet is bad, but we're not using it responsibly and for the reasons we should be using what technology has given us. It simply harms the mental health and has taken us away from the social interaction, which gives us the self-esteem, the problem-solving skills, the coping skills, communicating skills. These are life skills so important to the growth and the well-being and the self-esteem of our children. But where does this come from? Again, I think cell phones and social media, internet, the pressures, colleges, grades, friends, and so much play a significant role day to day, adding up to more and more pressure to handle. And if we don't know how to handle the pressure, it's like that shaken Coke bottle that just all of a sudden explodes. Again, I don't think, as a matter of fact, I know teens don't want to die. But I do know that suicide ends up being where they think the solution is, where it's too far out, that the individual doesn't see a solution to solve their problems in the now, that they think they'll never be able to solve them and move on, so the desire of suicide becomes more and more important. Our young people live in the here and the now. You know that. But why shouldn't they when everything for them and us is in the here and the now? Think about it. You text, immediately get a response. You go to an ATM and automatically get cash. You forget your clothes, you forget your lunch money. What do? You call mom on the cell phone you have in school, and mom picks up, and mom leaves work, leaves home, runs right away to drop whatever she needs to be dropped off for her child. We have Snapface and Insta where you immediately get likes, and if you don't get enough, you take the picture down because all of a sudden you think, well, you're not funny or cute or life is inadequate when comparing your lives to other people. Folks, I'm telling you, life is not right now. Nor is life a race. Life's a journey, my friends. And so I think it's important that we as trusted adults, we're teaching our children about patience in the process of going after your goals and dreams. But what about college? What about college? Do you ever think that perhaps we're giving these kids a false sense of success when we tell them, go to college or go here and get this degree and boom, success? What if they're not ready, or your plan for them isn't their plan for themselves? The expectations are so great, but when they're not met, they're left to be, well, I'm now disappointed, or you're disappointed in them, and they know that. And they never want to disappoint you, parents or teachers, friends. They don't want to disappoint themselves. Our children are growing up later today than 15 or 30 years ago. They have access to so much that it's frightening. I mean, years ago, it was 18 years old and you're ready. Today, that 18 is turned into 24 and they're starting to mature, but the expectations of growing up, going to college and getting a job is still there, leaving them scared that they're supposed to have it figured out and they don't. And then they start thinking, well, I'm going to let people down because I don't have it figured out. I don't get it. And I think what we need to do is let them know it's okay. While someone might have a little idea and another person doesn't, that doesn't make them any less of a person, or doesn't mean they're not going to be successful. I think in many cases we are failing our kids. You know, less than 3% of our high school graduates go on to the technical, the trade field. Everyone's like, oh, my kid's going to be successful. What's wrong with the trade, the vocational field? In 10 years, I think that's where all the money is going to be. As a matter of fact, if you're watching what I'm watching, Brookstone bankrupt, Toys R Us bankrupt, Amazon is now having buildings on college campuses that aren't even employed by people. You got robots and drones and computers and machines. You know what is important? If you were to ask your child, would they agree that maybe they're a little lazy? Hands go up. Yep, I am. If you were to ask them, how many of you read 15 minutes a day? Nope. You know, in 15 minutes a day, if you read just 15 minutes a day in 1 year, you've read 18 books. You see, our kids are not born to be average. They choose to be average. And you know what we do? We enable them. Our kids, they want structure. They want routine. They want discipline. They want your love and support. Folks, this is my work. It's never easy to hear about a suicide or listening to young people and the pain they're having in their hearts with the life that they're living or life circumstances, situations, challenges, obstacles, and so much. My friends, there's hope. And I'll tell you, counseling is available. Counseling to help our youth in understanding all these emotions. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not know what you want to do with your life at 17, 18, 19 years old. They need to know it's okay. It's okay to wake up every day and just be figuring yourselves out. Asking questions, having trusted adults that you can go to, listening, learning, experiencing life, and growing up. It's okay to not be perfect. I mean, who is? And so you know what gets my britches up in a bunch? About 4 or 5 years ago, I spoke in the Buckland High School community. And today a young man graduated. He sends me a message telling me his story. He sends me newspaper articles about Dodge City and the local communities and the suicide epidemic. And I feel like I had an obligation to a young man that remembered me from years ago. He says, I don't really know why I'm reaching out to you, but I'm just tired of seeing my friends and taking my friends to the hospital with a failed suicide attempt by overdosing. My friends, like, you're expected to have it all figured out, really? Ask any trusted adult in your life what their plan was at 17 to 23 years old. They probably didn't have one. My friends, after a suicide or multiple, like your communities have been dealt with, we're left asking a young person with so much to live for makes a forever decision to end their own lives. And we say, why? How? How does one person get so hopeless or feel that suicide is the only option? Our system is broken. It's flawed. Our youth are growing up in a broken system in America, and America has a responsibility. But I also think we have a bigger responsibility. And that responsibility is to learn to ask better questions, not why me or why our children or why our community, but it's not why this and why that. It's how. How can I? And that question needs to come from everybody, parents, educators, teachers, pastors, youth pastors. That question needs to come from us as individuals, young people, you too. Ask better questions, get to know who you are, and be comfortable with who you are not. The most important thing in your life right now, self-esteem. Value yourself. We need to value our children and support them where they are and where they are feeling. It's real to them. And you know, something what bothers me is I, as a trusted adult or a teacher or a parent, will say, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're smart, good job. But what do these words mean if you don't believe it yourself? 3 things, like I said earlier: attitude, choices, behavior. Be confident, breathe. Ask for help when needed, slow down, relax. My friends, it's going to be okay. But you have to be willing to do the work. Put the phone down a little bit, get involved, do something. Be more socially invested in your school, your family, your community. I need you all to know that you have a trusted adult. Who is that trusted adult in your life? Answer that. Who is that person that you can reach out to? Another thing, my friends, life doesn't happen fast like you're used to. Text, immediate response. Phone call, someone's always there. ATM, cash comes out. Social media, likes. Life's not like that. Shouldn't be like that. We're all growing up in a superficial world, and it's having our way with our young people. I mean, adults too, but adults for the most part have learned how to cope and process their pain and the issues in their life. Folks, you can't let this affect you. Balance, boundaries. Turn your phone off. Call it a timeout. Find mandated off time. Take a time out, man. And 3 things I think are really important for our teens today. Parents, you need to enforce this every day. Sleep. Young people need 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep in a 24-hour period. And if your kid's ugly, they need more. Nutrition. Our kids are consuming over 200 grams more sugar a day than they should be consuming in a 24-hour period. You know who's best friends? Sugar and depression. They hang out. They're like good friends. They like each other. Yeah, sugar, it's depression. What are you up to? No, I'm just tired, bored. You want to hang out? All right. And so they hang out. Listen, less fruit juice, less soda, more water. Less processed foods, less carbs, more good protein, healthy. Also, get involved. Put down the phone a little bit, get involved. School activities, school clubs, your community. Get involved with people. I'm going to tell you my theory on suicide. A person feels they're burdened to other people, meaning that they don't make any notable contributions to the world, or they feel that they're a liability and they're disappointing other people, family, friends, workers. That's one. Or a person feels that they're alone, which means that they feel they don't have any meaningful relationships. If this pain in their heart lasts long enough, that's when they start to have that desire to want to end their life. But folks, this is life. Life is not easy. It's not fair. Life will never be fair. But I'll tell you something that's great about life and the lessons every day. We learn and grow as a result of them. That's what's beautiful. And that's where self-esteem comes from. So I urge you, everyone, wake up every day. Brush your teeth, wash your face, do your dance. And walk out that door. Behavior, attitude, and choices. And I promise on the other side of battling fear and life situations is self-esteem. And don't let anyone take that from you. But you got to be willing to do the work. And when times are tough or you're not thinking clearly, you're feeling emotionally distraught, it's okay to take a time out and ask for the help. Professional help with a professional licensed mental health therapist. But before you get to that person, it's okay to just reach out to a trusted adult or a close friend, and that close friend needs to know their responsibility. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. My friends, I've been in counseling for 26 years. This ain't about me. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. My greatest education has been my therapy. You know something also? I was in Ohio yesterday working with the school community who has had 4 losses, 2 suicides in a year. I met the father of the latest suicide. Her name was Ashley. His name was Bob. Here's what happened. My parent program, Bob was the first one to show up. He showed up at 5:30 p.m. He left at 9 p.m. with me. It was a tough night for him. You know, the 2 weeks before his daughter took her life, people intervened, teachers, friends, the school, did everything they could. She didn't open up. They even called the parents. You know what her dad said to me? He said, nobody even called. We didn't know. I said to him, I says, Bob, I said, I want to be sensitive about this, but I hope you don't mind me asking you this question. I said, could it be that they did reach out to you, but maybe you weren't present in hearing what people had to say? I was proud of him for his response. He said, that could be possible. And it's not that Bob didn't want to hear it. I'll tell you something, sometimes we don't know how to hear it. Or sometimes we don't hear it because we don't want to. 90% of suicides are preceded by clues that we didn't notice. I mean, in many cases, why should we notice when we aren't looking for anything? The individuals that are on the school's radar aren't necessarily the ones that we need to look out for. Today, it's a lot of school communities that say to me, Jeff, we didn't even know there was a problem. There were no signs. This is the last person that we would have suspected. Mental illness should not be labeled and have a stigma that goes with it. Mental illness, or should I say, the mentally strong, are the ones that aren't afraid to ask for help. And what we can all do better is saying, I'm proud of you for asking for help. Listen, the best thing I've ever done for myself, being a man that lives with mental illness, is ask for help and continue to seek help and practice my self-care every day as my #1 priority. I practice self-care every day. As a man that lives with mental illness, I'm diagnosed with major depression, bipolar type 2, and PTSD. I've come to learn that self-care is why I'm the healthiest I've ever been. My friends, I care about you all. I'm praying for you. I'm sending my most sincere thoughts of health and happiness and grace that we all come together as communities and school communities in support for our schools, our teachers, our staff, our teens, our communities, the families. I want all of us to be part of the solution, not the problem. Volunteer, be supportive. I want this year, 2018-19, to be a year of success. Lastly, the worst thing we can do is blame our schools. Now, I'm not saying anybody is. I don't know. But I'm just saying this is part of that conversation. I think what we need to do is put the responsibility where it belongs, and it belongs within the 4 walls of our own house. It's a parenting issue. No school administrator has ever given a certificate on how to handle a suicide, and every suicide is different. Not that that's right or it's wrong, but every suicide is different and affects the school community differently. A school administrator has 2 responsibilities. #1, protect your students and their well-being. And you have a responsibility to do that. And #2, protect your staff and your teachers. We often forget about them, but they're hurting as much as everybody else is. But yet they're supposed to be stoic and supportive. But my friends, what happens when the pitcher is empty? You can't pour anymore. We can't let that pitcher get empty. Everyone is in pain. And I know that everybody wants answers. But what is important now is that we all do our work to make sure anyone who is hurting knows that there is support and trusted adults, and that it's okay to reach out. We can't relive the past year and wish that we could have done more or said something, or that this didn't have happened. My friends, it happened. I'm sorry. And here we are today moving forward. I say this while trying to be sensitive, but you need to hear this. You are not a victim. We are victors. Life happens, and sometimes it downright really stinks. But everything we go through shapes us. And everything we go through and experience makes us stronger, and we become better people as a result when you do not accept the victim mentality. So today, moving forward, the best thing we can do is show our support. And you might not like it, but it's not our place to like it or not like it. We all need to step back and look at the big picture objectively. This is all of our issue. And we all need to do better, not just parenting, but teachers. We need to do better listening, being present, being engaged, asking for help, loving more, judging less, forgiving others. But you know what? Forgiving ourselves too. I'm not saying this is all parents and teachers. This is about us as individuals. And copycats. Oftentimes, the suicide can trigger strong suicidal ideation amongst others. That's a major concern, and we want to make sure we cut that off quickly. Ask for help. And students, please know, young people, you have an incredible responsibility as well. See something, say something, know something, do something. You are so instrumental in saving the life of a friend, one of your peers. Let them know it's okay. Be supportive when they reach out and ask for help. What you might be feeling today doesn't mean that it's your future. It gets better, my friends. Life gets better. Today is just temporary. You will grow from what you're going through. Life, situations, struggles, challenges, breakups. This doesn't happen to us. But everything we go through happens for us, because everything we experience in life shapes us and conditions us. You don't realize that when you live in the here and the now. But again, life isn't about the here and the now. Everything teaches us. We grow through life's challenges. And the tough times, we all have them. We all have a story. We all have failures and setbacks, and life shapes us every day. That is what is so beautiful about life. It teaches us. And the responsibility is very simple. If we're going to have internet and cell phones and social media platforms, then our government needs to provide the adequate care for what this brings. Simply put, we're giving our young people rights and privileges that they're not emotionally capable of handling, and the consequences this brings, without even knowing, it leads to so many things: mental health issues, depression, and in many cases, it's leading to suicide today. Again, I think this is a parenting issue, and parenting today is a greater responsibility than it ever has been. It's also society's issue and how we deal with this and we move forward. It's a personal responsibility to be your best advocate. Parents, we need to be the best advocate for our children and their well-being, and teach our children to advocate for themselves too. To teach them it's okay to have trusted adults. It's okay to ask for help. You don't have to have answers to what you're going to do in life right now. And you don't need to compare yourself to other friends. You don't need to think about your significance in the world or what your legacy is going to be in the now. We need to teach and learn coping skills and problem-solving skills, self-esteem, and valuing who you are. I think education as a whole needs to change. I think we need to focus more on social and emotional learning. Again, I'm pro-education, but I see flaws in the system. After 26 years, things need to change. But change also needs to happen first in the home. And nothing changes if nothing changes. That is on us personally first. We're graduating young people without them being prepared to jump into the world of uncertainty and the struggles and the unknown. Yet our expectations continue to bring great disappointment, and then our kids think they're a burden or they're alone in this world because they haven't figured it out yet. But figured out what? It's everyday lessons and tough times that teach us incredible, most valuable lessons for life. Grind through it. It's going to be okay, my friends. Yeah, easily said, pretty simple. We need to give our young people the tools to be successful in life. And we can't blame that on our schools. We got to bring that into the home. But in the meantime, I agree. We need adequate mental health care and counseling. And more importantly, we need more people talking about it. So my friends, continue talking about it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable talking about mental health, because the more we talk about it, the greater difference that we can make in our communities, and we can save lives. We also need more involved parents. We need young people to open up and talk. To ask for help. Asking for help is not a weakness. How can people help if our young people aren't asking for help? We don't know, and if we don't know, we can't help. Folks, I'm in counseling myself again, yet I counsel thousands of every month. But you know what? You know who I am? And why I'm in counseling and taking medication? You want to know why? Because I look in the mirror and I like what I see. But it hasn't always been that way, though. You feel me? Yeah. Let me tell you something. And remember this. You look in the mirror and you don't like the reflection that looks back, don't blame it on the mirror. It just means you need to spend more time there. So take responsibility, ask better questions, spend more time being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and you're going to start figuring it out. Be more concerned with who you are as a person rather than how you look. And life will change. You take care of this, and this will take care of itself. To the parents and the teachers and the trusted adults, let me go back to those 2 questions. So whether you're a teacher, coach, parent, anyone, we need to answer these 2 questions every day our kids ask. Number 1, can I trust you? And number 2, do you care about me? These 2 questions are at the cornerstone of every trusted relationship. And we all need to do a better job. Education, our government, our families, teachers, coaches, parents. But most importantly, you personally. Take responsibility. Be your own best advocate. And I can't emphasize enough, it's okay to ask for help, my friends. And as I close, I'd like to offer some suggestions as you all move forward. I'd like to invite each and every one of you to open your heart today and tomorrow and forever, and to know that you have trusted adults always wanting to be there to help you answer life's toughest questions. Don't ever be afraid to ask again. And remember, you matter, my friends. Don't ever think you're alone. Don't ever feel that you're a burden to your family or to your community, your friends, your school. And a quick message to our teachers and our staff. Thank you, my friends. Remember, you make a difference every single day. You make a difference. Remember your why every day. And some of the lives that you think you're not connecting with, or you are. Every day. There's so many questions. In many cases, yet so few answers. We're all responsible. I urge you to move forward together and for our young people. You're not a victim, you're a victor. You're not a volunteer to this pain and the circumstances of life. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And that responsibility, regardless of anything, is your behavior, your attitude, and your choices. So I urge you to choose to be better. Choose to grow. Choose trusted adults. Choose life. Choose love. Choose you, my friends. And as in everything in life, this will either expose wounds or build muscles. It's your choice how you respond. Allow yourself to grieve, and grieving is on your terms. I'm so sorry, my friends, and I wish I could say more. Suicide and mental health is becoming an economic issue, and we need you. We need your talking. We need your support. We need you all to speak up. I love you, my friends. I'm sorry for your losses. Stay beautiful. I'm Jeff Yalden, and I appreciate you listening to my message. God bless every single one of you, and I wish for a very successful 2018-2019. Take care.